Thanks a lot, Demon. And it is time for that final match of the day as North America's Vulcun takes on Southeast Asia's Team Mineski. Now, Vulcan's loss earlier on in the day makes them a bit of a long shot for those quarterfinals. But regardless of the standings, the last time these two teams met, the Filipino squad really gave Vulcan a run for their money. That was their closest game to a win, I'd say, so far for Mineski.
Yeah, I think Vulcan tried a bit too hard to end it fast, and then by 13 minutes, the towers were actually even, the gold was even, and Mineski actually had a kill lead, which was their first at the tournament at the time. But then ManCloud turned it around, there was a rumble in the jungle, they got an ace, and then the tight game turned into a 35-minute win for Vulcan.
So let's take a look then at the two teams for Vulcan and Mineski, starting with Vulcan and their top laner, Psycho Sid. They, of course, have Smithy in the jungle, MineCloud in the mid lane, Zuna the AD carry, and Bloodwater the support.
And, of course, on the red side, we have Mineski with Snore in the top lane, Kaigu in the jungle, Yume in mid, EXO on AD carry, and TG on support.
So let's talk a little bit then about the champions in this one and what we can expect to see. I mean, if we look down the two supports in particular, a lot of Zyra being played by the both of them. In the mid lane, MineCloud, Orianna, Ahri that is really brought to the table in this one. It's hard to say what Yume is actually going to play because he seems to have not been scared to branch out in different directions.
Yeah, and specifically talking about the supports, both these guys are coming off fairly rough games. Bloodwater got baited in their earlier game today, flashing into the turret for a barrier, ended up getting them for a double kill and kind of hurting them in their overall chances for the game. Whereas this entire World Championships, TG has been dying a lot on support. Both of these guys really have to kind of find a way to pick it up. And if we look at this game also overall, Vulcan is not out of this entirely. They, with the win, will be tied with Ozone at 3-3. And they would still have a chance to beat Gambit and kind of get back into a tie for that spot. So Vulcan, the reason they weren't too down about that last loss is based on the result with Ozone, they're like, oh, we can still kind of control their own destiny. Whereas Mineski, even though they are mathematically eliminated, their entire mindset when we had that interview with Kaigu is learning experience, and if they can pick up a win, it's going to mean the world for them, right? They're not getting phased by the losses, and they're just looking to play spoiler.
Teams definitely have to be careful of Mineski here because they've shown moments of very, very strong play, which, you know, if they really hit their stride, I guess we can say, then one of these teams that are really fighting for those spots might have some trouble. Let's move into the bans here because they're coming pretty quickly. Nocturne banned out here against Kaigo in the jungle. We've already seen in their first and their last encounter against Vulcan, he played that Thresh, and Zed taken out. Other side, everything aimed at ManCloud, Ahri, Orianna, and Karthus.
And one thing we do know absolutely about Vulcan is if Shen is available for the first pick, they're picking Shen. That's just what Psycho Sid is comfortable on, and that's why they picked it there.
Well, that leaves Elise and Corki for the taking here for Mineski, and they've wasted no time in getting those two locked in.
No, not at all. I mean, Corki is an extremely strong pick. It should give EXO a lot of power on it. Corki's win rate in this tournament isn't necessarily that high, but that's actually something that happens a lot when we have champions that are universally considered to be strong, is everyone jumps for them so hard that oftentimes you'll have the team that is overmatched picking Corki anyway, and then it'll affect the tournament win rate that he ends up with.
Well, let's see what Vulcan opt for here. Obviously, MineCloud being hit the hardest. I say hit the hardest, probably the only one that's been hit from those three bans. But a Vi here going to be possibly selected by Vulcan. Wouldn't surprise me. We've already seen Smithy play that in 3 out of the 5 games that they've had so far. Yeah,
the Galio would surprise me. Yes. That's why we're not going to see the Galio. But the Vi, this is, in my opinion, this is a game for Vulcan to try and get back on track. They know they have to run the table, and they need to get good habits back in this game. The first time they played Mineski, I feel like they actually set themselves into a few bad habits, trying to win too quickly. If they can play controlled and effectively treat Mineski like they were playing Gambit right now, and just almost run this as a scrim for that game in a pressured environment, because Vulcan, the reason they're losing is because they've been making so many mistakes. Easy to say, oh, you lose because you make mistakes, but specifically with Vulcan, they have been making some fairly glaring mistakes in these games, and they need to clean up their play in this match.
Well, we did see Zyra locked in as well from that one. Bloodwater only died twice in 3 games, but we can move on from that one because the other picks all coming out as well. Yeah, Ashe and Twisted Fate there were added in for Vulcan. On the other side, they picked up Lee Sin and Sona.
Yeah, so Mineski is going with a very generalist composition right now. They have a high amount of mobility, and this mid lane pick will be very telling on what Yume thinks he can play against Twisted Fate as far as an assassination potential goes. Oftentimes, Yume goes with sustained damage dealers in games. It would potentially combo well with Corki, but really this comp is all about what Vulcun has. Double global with an Ashe, making it effectively a triple global, and they're just going to be trying to execute cleanly. That's exactly what that composition demands, and that's what they're going to be practicing.
What are Mineski going to go for? There's a Victor there, but it would surprise me.
And it would be a little bit too surprising. Yeah.
There we go.
Sustained damage, rise. That's what Yume has played plenty of in the qualification process, and also I think he's played it already in the World Championship.
Yeah, played it twice in the games against Ozone, and in their last game against Vulcun as well.
Yeah, so a lot of rise for him. Against Twisted Fate, it's going to be very scary, specifically because they're comboing it with Vi. Early on in the game, even level 5, before Vi gets her real gank threat with her Assault and Battery, because Twisted Fate can lock up with the gold card, it means the Vault Breaker is a guaranteed land. And as far as single skills go in the game that have 1 packet of damage, Vi's Vault Breaker is the most in the game. At max rank, it does 340 damage plus an aggressive AD ratio. If you can guarantee landing it, usually kills the other person.
Usually going to be a dead man. It's going to be dangerous times for Mineski, who, let's not forget, they're still looking for their first victory here of the World Championship. So let's have a look how you guys at home voted for this one. And probably comes as no surprise when we look at lolesports.com that 85% of you chose Vulcun, and everyone on the analyst desk picked Vulcun as well.
Yeah, and no real surprise coming into this game. Mineski has been the huge underdog since the start of this, but once again, it is really about them trying to play spoiler. I think this game will really show us a lot about how well Mineski can fight back against a team that actually just has more tools right now. So if Mineski could somehow almost strategically position themselves in the right spots, Vulcun wouldn't be able to use all their overall global pressure and Ashe to force the right fights. It's a very tall task for Mineski right now, because we have seen throughout the World Championships that they're overmatched by the teams in this group, and the comp that Vulcun has picked allows for a lot of outplaying that Vulcan's going to try to do.
Well, let's get into game then and see if Mineski can pick up their first win of the World Championships, or whether Vulcun can get back in the right direction, I think we can say here in Group B. So let's go through this one then and have a look how it's all going to go down. Level 1 certainly very, very dangerous for Mineski, with the likes of the Taunt, the Gold card, and those Grasping Roots coming out on Vulcan's side.
Absolutely, and they would only really be able to fight back with a Rune Prison from Yume's Rise. You very rarely see an Elise skill a Cocoon first in the game. As you can see, he's already skilled up his Volatile Spiderling right there, so no potential stun coming up from Kaigu, and immediately, yeah, Vulcan's going to invade this, because once again, they're practicing their execution and really trying to make their play more crisp.
There's a good Spiderling actually coming out there for what that damage is worth at this stage. Mineski actually coming across here. They may try and challenge this invade on towards the blue buff. TG and Snowy there just spotting Zuna off down towards his bottom side. So actually will be a 5v4 now. Zuna has to get back around for this one. Sid gonna go in there, gets the taunt down. There's a Vault Breaker as Kaigu has to back away, but Zuna comes in from the backside. Snowy in trouble. Smithy flashes out. Exo now getting locked up. He's already used his barrier. Can he get away? There's a flash over the top. Mindcloud, yeah, he gets away as well as the Grasping Root landed. There's a stun card. TG's a dead man. Sid picks up another kill for Vulcun. And that was the level 1 we were talking about.
The start could not have been better for Vulcun there. It seemed like a bit of a risk for Vulcun to engage 4v5, but they actually had that all planned out. Oftentimes at level 1, you don't have enough burst damage to finish off that first person entirely, and they would generally flash away. Oh, if that root would have landed, Kaigu would have been also a dead.
Well, I'm not sure that he'll escape this one as the slow comes down. He's very, very low, but Vulcun not risking it there. They decide to let him back away, which is actually not a bad thing here, because Kaigu, with that low of a HP, is going to need so much help here over by his red side anyway.
I think they can actually give it to him, though, because they've actually pulled both solo laners away, and Exo and TG continue to harass this. It's going to, at the very least, use Xsmithy's Smite.
Crazy, crazy stuff here at level 1. Xsmithy does pick that one up. Kaigu did get the red over by the other side, and we saw out the game here for Mineski. Unfortunately, they're already 1,100 gold behind in this game.
Not the start they had dreamed of right here. If they're trying to pick up their win at Worlds, this is not the way to do so. They knew that Vulcun had so many level 1 tools to work with, and they just kind of walked right into it. That's a lot of inexperience coming in here for Mineski. Oftentimes, you're almost greedily wanting to go into a level 1 against a team that you feel a little bit outmatched on, because crazier things have happened at level 1. Sometimes you can just get the right fight and expect the game to turn around from there. And that was exactly what Mineski was going for, even if they were walking into a whole bunch of utility.
So Zuna, with that first blood coming in, is going to be a real menace in these early levels against Mineski's bottom lane of EXO and TG. And you see there already, EXO knocked back, and he's going to have to recall, and he's still level 1. So by the time he gets back, Zuna's going to be up at least at level 3. It's not a matchup you want.
Yeah, Ash's early laning phase is tremendously strong, and that is just multiplied by the fact that EXO had to use Flash and Barrier at level 1, and the fact that that lane is still yet to level just because they were so late to lane, and they had the long amount of time spent harassing off the blue buff. Bloodwater and Zuna are in complete safety and control right now, because you also have to consider that they stopped Kaigu from getting the blue buff, which means there's not even a chance that Elise could be ganking them right now for playing so aggressively.
That's Snowy going head-to-head with Psycho Sid, and look at that, Smithy with that blue buff still running, he's going to go onto the top side of his map. Kaigu not really daring to come over and even seeing if that blue buff had been already taken from them. Too much respect that he's got for that one, and actually will just go about his way, which means, as you said, no blue buff aim at the start. Finally, we're going to see EXO coming back into lane, and Zuna is already level 3 from that one. Kaigu is in the top lane, we'll see what he can do.
This could be a little bit risky here. Psycho Sid is not giving Snowy much respect here. Elise is here for a 2v1.
There is the cocoon actually landing, and Psycho Sid in trouble, does have his flash available, will use that. There is a repel coming down, but he's backed away from it a little bit early there, Kaigu. I think they could have finished that one off, you know.
I think they were fearful of the X-Smithy counter gank if they went all the way in. Snowy and Kaigu were both a little bit low and couldn't take multiple turret shots. I think it would have been worth the risk, though, all things considered, because Mineski needs to make something happen after that atrocious start.
Yeah, I think that risk would be calculated from this. I mean, he can't really get much worse than he has been going right from that level 1 start for them. So, now we see Zuna back into lane. EXO, with that bit of time that he have as Zuna went back, has caught up there in the levels. But in terms of items, Zuna's going to be putting out incredible damage onto him there. We see already EXO in trouble as he does get rooted up. Has to use the Valkyrie to back away from it completely. Less than half HP, he's got to go home again.
Yeah, and I really wonder if we're going to be seeing more of Ashe Zyra into Corki matchups right now, because Doublelift has talked a lot about lane matchups and how if you don't play Corki, you at least need to play a Corki counter. We've seen Fnatic play it today, we've seen Vulcun play it today, and we know in the quarterfinals, Cloud9 actually just arrived today in Los Angeles. They were kind of the originators of the Zyra Ashe lane. It's definitely working out for Vulcun right now. You can see that early on, Ashe can outrange and outtrade EXO a little bit, and since he has the level advantage, it'll also mean that Zuna hits level 6 first in this lane matchup, meaning his Enchanted Crystal Arrow can kind of combo for some kills with Zyra and her double crowd controls in the lane. It's working out wonderfully for Vulcun right now, and I expect to see more of it.
And there is EXO again. He literally walks into the lane, grasping roots, a plant, a volley, and an auto attack, putting him down at half HP already. And this is just not good news whatsoever for EXO. He's up at he's 20 CS behind already, not to mention that kill and assist that Zuna already has. Minion Wave is going to be headed his general direction, but another thing to mention here is that the ward control, the map pink walks down pretty much across the board for Vulcun. They've got complete site control, and they'll be able to make plays off that as well.
The only thing they have to worry about here is Kaigu, who's actually coming in for gank right now.
Yeah, but MindCloud actually using his flash, and here comes X-Smithy right on towards Yume. He's not quite level 6 yet, so doesn't have Assault and Battery to lock him up, but look at the damage coming out. Both Kaigu and Yume falling to round about half HP, and they have to back straight away from that, not able to follow up onto MindCloud.
Yeah, Mineski got so much damage onto MindCloud at the start of that gank that he wasn't able to participate with X-Smithy's late arrival right there. A little bit less damage down onto MindCloud, and X-Smithy would have landed the counter gank. But all things considered, it does mean Vulcun can push back a little bit. Yume had to go back since he's just running the tier. Such a squishy rise right now, and Vulcun gets a little bit more turret pressure.
So down on this bottom lane, CS continues to grow for Zuna. Exo, pretty much that half HP is where he's sat right now, and he's probably going to stay there for quite a while. It's Smithia, obviously having the timing. They picked up that blue buff right from level 1. He's going to take that again as ManCloud is going to be Destiny down towards his bottom lane. TG won't escape that one. There's a flash away, but like Smithy coming around the side. He's level 6. There's a Sultan battery. Slams down Exo for the kill.
5-man gank from seemingly nowhere. That's the tools that Vulcun has if they want to just pick on someone. Exo and TG, even if they hadn't been bullied in lane, even if they had their summoners spells up, don't stand a chance against a 5-man gank that can appear just like that. What Mineski needs to do in that situation is have the other lanes pushing. Snoy and Yume would have needed to have enough pressure on their lanes to prevent that from happening, but once the 5 people get there, there's really nothing for Mineski to do as long as Vulcun executes cleanly like they did there.
Mineski actually coming down towards Dragon there, forcing Vulcun away. They started it after they had that 5-man pressure down at the bottom. Twisted Fate and Shen had already gone back, and they decided it's probably not worth it at this point in the game. I mean, their gold lead, we're not even 10 minutes into this one. It's already an incredible lead for them from the CS advantage they have in that mid lane, in the bottom lane, plus those 4 kills on the turret as well.
Exactly. I'm expecting a very controlled game here for Vulcun, only because sloppy play and mistakes have been what's pained them in this group to get them 3 losses thus far.
Oh, there's ManCloud going low. The arrow actually coming through, but ManCloud, will he get taken down? No, he won't. Flash from Zuna. They've got the slow. Kaigu now in all kinds of trouble. He tries to dive away onto the minions. Great cocoon, and they can't follow through. Kaigu survives, but his teammate not so lucky, and this is going to be the second turret of the game for Vulcun.
I still got to credit Kaigu a little bit for being able to jump to that minion with his little tiny spider bite to just get the inch he needed to avoid himself from getting for Smithy. But if he sticks around too long, another cocoon assault and battery is up. I don't think Smithy can get in range.
No, he's actually backed away from that, but in this bottom lane, Exo in all kinds of trouble here, gonna get slowed down. There's the Hawk shot coming out for the vision. He uses a Valkyrie, and that will just be about enough to get him away.
Ooh. 5 kills for 0 still, and X-Smithy everywhere right now on the map.
There is the assault and battery. Snoy going to be struggling to get away from this one. Will actually get through on towards his minions, but Psycho Sid is chasing him down. Is he going to get there? 4 seconds until the taunt comes up. There's a Vorpal Blade, and Snoy just about lives.
With the rank 1 safeguard, the teeny little shield that he was able to get out because he pathed towards the brush, which delayed the visibility that Psycho Sid would gain on him. Even with all that, this gold lead is getting completely out of hand, Joe. It's 5 kills to 0, 3 turrets to 0. It's a 6,000 gold lead at 11 minutes. That's nearly insurmountable already.
Very, yeah, insurmountable, I think, is the perfect word from that one. And Mineski, this is the time to make some risky plays. I mean, they literally have nothing to lose in this game right now. They are so far behind things that they should just go for it. They should just be making plays. Kaigo right now is pressuring Psycho Sid in this top lane. Is he going to be able to lock down a Shen? No, there is a cocoon. And a Shadow Dash will get him out to safety. No danger there for Psycho Sid.
Yeah, there have been a few times in this game where Mineski could have probably sacrificed themselves for a kill. Usually that's a bad choice because you usually get tricked into it. In fact, it happened to Bloodwater in their first game of the day where he flashed into a turret for a kill and ended up getting the rest of his team in trouble. And it's doubly hard for Mineski right now to try and make a play, only because Shen and Twisted Fate and an Ash Arrow can appear from pretty much anywhere. So even if Mineski feels like they have an advantage, they probably don't. This could actually be a flawless victory for Vulcun, meaning no deaths if they continue to play the way they're playing right now.
Well, not anymore, because you just jinxed them, Jack.
Yeah.
Commentator's curse coming in from that one. But they've taken a dragon, and that gold lead just getting bigger. 7,000 gold is now the total that they have from that one. Absolutely hammering Mineski at this point of things. We see 3 kills for Zuna. We've got 5 assists for ManCloud, which is always going to be a threat, however many kills he's got, because of that global presence with the Shen coming in there as well, who's almost got that Sunfire cape done. And you look at Lee Sin in that top lane. Snoy, he's behind in CS, not been involved in really anything at this point. He's got a Vamp Scepter and a Doran's Blade and a Doran's Shield. He's really a bit of a non-starter in this one.
Even with that, he is probably the member of Mineski right now who is the most likely to make a play for them. He's only 14 minion kills down on Psycho Sid, which if you compare up and down, and you don't count the jungle, is the highest. But here we go, Yume. It's hard to run from TF here.
Yeah, Destiny put down there is the Rune Prison, but are you going to escape? Not now, you're not, because Bloodwater comes in. Grasping Root will lock him up, and that will be 6-0 for Vulcun. This is a landslide.
Yep, Lichbane completed by ManCloud. He's just going towards his Twisted Fate build. In fact, Zuna has actually built an early Avarice Blade because he feels like he has such a lead in the lane that he can essentially dump any of his advantage into a gold per 10 item that gives him extra gold on last hits. One thing that I can actually touch on right now is crit chance. Oh, Smithy's going to
survive.
Yep, all right.
Kaigu's going to survive at least going in there.
Yeah, we're going to have a fight here in mid lane, I think.
Yeah, Smithy does have that Assault and Battery, and actually Snowy just coming down from this top side of this one has landed the kill, but decided not to follow through on that one, and probably wise. There's a lot still available here. Psycho Sid does have that Stand United, and the Ash Arrow can come across the map. Here is the red buff challenge, and they should be able to take that Bloodwater. Actually being caught out here. This could be the first kill of the game for Mineski. Strangle Thorns go down. Here comes Stand United though. Will Bloodwater be able to get to safety? There's the arrow coming through. They turn it around. TG going very, very low. He will have to flash, but he won't get away from the damage of Psycho Sid. And there is the Assault and Battery down on towards Exo. Kaigo has managed to pick up a kill there at the back. Exo did die, and now Kaigo is running for his life against Zuna and Psycho Sid. He's not going to escape that one. It leaves it at 10-1 to Vulcun.
Kaigo did get the kill there, and it's got to be at least a small victory here from Mineski. Vulcan's going to push down the rest of these outer turrets. It's already 3-0, and like you said, Joe, it is an absolute landslide right here. Vulcan mostly unopposed, only 15 minutes in.
Certainly a very different game to when these two teams first met. We talked about in the pre-game that looked like Mineski's biggest chance to be picking up a game. That was the game that they impressed us most in, but Vulcan obviously had a few words about that performance here because this is a completely different turnout from them.
Yeah, Vulcan needs to shape up as far as the rest of this World Championship concerns because they are not eliminated yet and they still have a chance. They're trying to play clean right now. I think the last time they played Mineski, they were trying to rush things and they weren't respecting them as an opponent right here. And even though this is such a landslide, it's strange to say it's a landslide because they're respecting their play right now. Vulcan is trying to play very coordinated. You could tell they're definitely, to use an old term from League of Legends, they're tryharding right now to make sure that they don't make mistakes against Mineski, even if they know that Mineski is overmatched.
And this is bad news for you, mate. There is a stun card coming down. Psycho Sid will taunt in towards the brush. And there is a kill picked up. ManCloud gets that one for his second of the game. Got that Lichbane plus a needlessly large rod in there. Mineski actually grouping up here in the mid lane. And even though that was a 4 versus 3, they know that they just can't get past the Zyra, Ashe, and Vi combo on a turret.
No, one of the great things about the Zyra Ashe composition, it is more utility from the bottom lane than any other combination, so it allows the rest of your team to build as much freedom as they want. If Vulcan would have went for straight up damage in their 2 solo lanes, they'd have a very Cloud9-esque composition where they could just mob in team fights. But also, if they go for a lot of crowd control into their other 2 solo lanes, they just get these amazing combos of crowd control, one after another, that just locks up the enemy and leaves no room for counter.
And there is the lock-up. Exo gonna go down, and that is, well, an incredibly clean kill from Vulcan. That gets them another inner turret, and Mineski now have no turrets outside of their base, and they have to, if they're gonna try at least for this one, they just have to group up and fight here, because they're just giving everything away without doing anything back.
Yeah, at this point, though, it's a little bit too grim for Mineski. I actually do want to talk about the Avarice Blade item build a bit because I have a chance, and I've actually liked talking about item math, so to speak. All carries get natural scaling for attack damage and attack speed, and as far as the balancing of gold efficiency for stats, attack damage is the most efficient, followed by attack speed, which is also, attack speed is also a multiplier based off a champion's base attack speed, so attack speed is actually more efficient depending on what champion you're playing. Ashe has a very high base attack speed, so you want to build it on her. And then crit chance is actually the least efficient of the 3, but because it is a multiplier, once you've built attack damage and attack speed, you then want to build as much critical chance as possible, which is another reason why an Avarice Blade early is completely bypassing power. You're literally just doing it for late game gold flow, which is why Zuna, when he built that, knew he was way ahead in that lane, that he could get away with building crit chance, which was the least efficient stat for him at that point in the game.
Well, it's working out for them so far.
Yeah, it's working out.
No doubt about that one. I mean, look at the gold. It's very one-sided, I think, is the understatement of the day from Joe. Good job. So, Dragon started off here by Vulcun. No one around for Mineski. This one isn't a gift, basically, for them. I'll take that without any problems whatsoever. See a lot of wards down from Vulcun in the enemy jungle, and they're just exerting that whole stranglehold as they move themselves further and further up the map. Lee Sin needs to be careful on that top side because he's walking over wards as he trudges his way back towards the base.
Yeah, I'm expecting an Ash Arrow very shortly, followed up by probably Xmithy and maybe Psycho Sid coming on the back of him. They can effectively get to anyone they want, knowing that ManCloud gets to go wherever he wants as well. Oftentimes, they will lead with a hawk shot to scout inside the base if Mineski's trying to pink ward inside the base and clean it, and then just go. And knowing how poked down Mineski is right now, it would lead to a very clean fight. And that's what Vulcun is all about right now. It's just crisp and clean execution.
And we just saw there the Shen pulling everyone away from that mid lane. Here we go. Arrow comes in. Assault and Battery goes down. Xmithy and Psycho sitting there. Crescendo comes in. Strangle Thorns will actually knock Yume up. That's 2 kills. A double for Bloodwater as they move over towards the backside. Corki comes off the fountain. Kygo will be in there. He's fallen very low. Exo has to flash onto the fountain itself, and there are only 2 men left alive here for Mineski to hold on to their base.
Looks like a 19-minute inhibitor for Vulcun, and we can't be too surprised knowing it is a 16,000 gold lead and a 7 turret to 0 deficit that Mineski is fighting from right now, Joe.
Vulcun playing it a little bit safer though here, backing away from this one. Kaigu and Exo managing to hold them off, going to push out that bottom lane and that mid lane as much as they can, but this one is just surely a matter of time until Vulcun really break through, maybe take that ace in the base and finish things off.
Yeah, this is about as one-sided as they come right here for Vulcun. And as far as the rest of the group is concerned now, I think we can talk about this because Fnatic moved to 5-1. Gambit is sitting at 4-2, and this victory will move Vulcun into a tie for third with Ozone, who I don't think anyone expected to be 3-3 coming into the World Championships here in the group stage. And for all the North American fans out there, it means Vulcun is still in control of their destiny because the team that is ahead of them, I believe, someone please tell me if I'm wrong here, if you're from production, if they beat Gambit, they haven't played them twice yet, if they beat Gambit, they will tie them in the head-to-head, and that basically means they would have to play another tiebreaker game. So if Vulcun wins out and then wins the tiebreaker, they're into the quarterfinals. They are completely in control, and a practice game like this, well, not a practice game, but the practice they get from this game is very important.
Well, Kaigo at this point going to be caught out here by Xmithy. We see him repelling, but where's he going to go? He actually goes further away from his base than he originally was, and he's finished off by Xmithy, and now they're chasing down Corki inside of the jungle. There's Destiny. Stone Card comes down. Exo actually managing to stay alive for quite a while. ManCloud now in trouble. He goes down. Snowy picks up the kill. There
we go. They get one back there, even though Kaigu was going down. And the rest of Vulcun, though, collapsing in. Mineski's got to run away.
Snowy down to half HP. There it was. The Assault and Battery. They've actually managed to lock Yume up there with those Strangle Thorns as well. There's a Crescendo, a good one, actually coming out from TG. But in the meantime, Zuna hammering away on this top inhibitor. There'll be nothing that Mineski can do to stop this and that inhibitor going down.
Yeah, even though they have 4 people live right now, they just do not have the strength or the gold to get Vulcun out of their base. 16,500 gold, almost 2 minutes in.
22 minutes in, and Vulcun actually backing away once again from this one. And probably, well, to me it looks like the fact that they're not recalling at all here, they may just go in there and pick themselves up a Baron.
Slow and steady wins the race. Right here if you're Vulcun. You can see right now ManCloud hasn't played the perfect game that you'd expect right there, getting caught a couple times here. You can see though Mineski still got smiles on their faces. They know that they were overmatched here, but they're still trying. I feel like they're playing the game right now. They want a couple kills. That's the game they're playing.
Well, we've talked about this before for Mineski. It's not like they've won nothing almost here because they're coming in. They get incredible experience going against teams like this. They almost build for their future coming in, and they win prize money as well along the way. It's definitely not a bad deal either way for Mineski, but their aim here is certainly to shock someone, is to pick up a victory in this group stage somewhere along the line.
Yeah, if they want to do that, though, they have to play substantially more aggressive early on in the game. I think we actually saw the start of that in this one when they, even though they were outmatched champion-wise at level 1, they still went headfirst into it because they were hoping to get an early advantage. That didn't work out for them, and it was clearly all downhill from there.
So, Baron on here for Vulcun. Lane's being pushed up. Zunan out with that static shift added into his Infinity Edge. We got a Zonya's on Man Cloud as well, and so he could have done with that. He gave the second kill of the game away as the Destiny onto the base steps, but Vulcun here are pushing this bottom lane. Right now, Mineski are focused on pushing this mid lane out as we are going to see a Solemn Battery coming in. There's the arrow. Stranglethorn's going down. They're going to lock up Exo. He's not escaping. Kaigu will fall as well. Destiny going to be popped. He comes in from the side. He's got to pull the card. There it is. He's on the fountain, but he's pulled it nonetheless. Yume goes down. Triple kill for Zuna.
Gotta feel good there for Vulcun. 21 kills to 2. They need to take the momentum from this game and move it throughout the rest of the group.
So here we go, the Nexus turret's being focused. Only Snowy left alive. He's going to dive in there, give Zuna a kick, but he gets off to the ward and he actually gets into the fountain. Still with some life. Zuna going for him. Zuna, is he going to finish him off? No! Sid going to tank up the fountain. Zuna dies as well. And Snowy holding on just about. They're going to go for him again with the Nexus here being hammered away on. Will get finished off. And Vulcun pick up a very one-sided victory to keep their hopes alive during the World Championship.
Yeah, we knew it from the start. Vulcun was in a must-win situation, and Mineski was just looking to play the spoiler. They didn't spoil much today because that was a 21,000 gold advantage accumulated across a 24-minute game. Vulcun went back to the Zyra Ashe. They got their Twisted Fate Shen, which is their favorite composition and has been throughout the North American LCS season. If Vulcun can get compositions like that against the rest of the opponents in Group B, it's all in their hands.
You have to admire Mineski's spirit here as well. I mean, this is a tough time for them. They've come here, they've been beaten soundly in every single game that we've seen from them. They've still got smiles on their face. They know that their League of Legends career is not just for this one event, that they're building for the future as well. And all credit to them, they're still having fun.
And I think the fans are also behind Mineski in large part to their attitude here, as you can hear.
There we go.
Yeah.
And
it's a tough situation for them, but they're handling it like they can, right? They're just being positive, trying to get a couple kills here and there. And if they pulled off a spoiler, everyone would remember it.
Well, and that's the thing, because in this group where it is so very, very tight right now, where we have 4 teams and none of them are 100% safe in the positions that they're right now signed, it means that if Mineski do come out in the next game and come with something absolutely insane that I'm not going to say never seen before, but certainly that we weren't ready for, and more specifically their opponents aren't ready for, if they can pull off that one upset, it might knock out one of the big favorites in this group, which is something to hope for, I guess, if you're a Mineski fan.
Yeah, because, I mean, we look at this group now, and it seems like Fnatic, they need one more win, and they're in. That's what they need to clinch. The rest of it is so up in the air. I don't think anyone, I know that no one on the analyst desk predicted Ozone to not make it through. That's an extremely real possibility right now. If Gambit wins out, Gambit's in, right? Fnatic wins one more game, they're in. There's some dangerous times coming up for these guys because they're 75% through the group stage right now, and that's it for them if they don't make it through the group stage. Their season's over.
Yeah, season would be over for the teams that don't finish in those top 2 spots. That's how cutthroat it is here. But for us, we're going to send it over to Riv and the guys at the desk for a breakdown of Vulcun versus Mineski.
Thank you very much, Joe. And indeed, Vulcun coming out very strong, a dominating win for them. The momentum for Vulcun always a thing coming up from the backside. But like they said, Mineski really in this one to play for experience now. They've understood it. We've heard from them in interviews as well that they're kind of here now knowing there was so much strength, but they're taking so much from it.
Well, if you look at that game, too, they had a lot of comfort picks for Vulcun right there, and they crafted pretty much a pure all-in pick composition, double globals. I mean, very strong, very strong.
Indeed.
Yeah, they played Vulcan style. They came in, shoring up their issues. As Jat said during the game, it was sort of a practice game. It's them saying, okay, let's let's actually get a mid game where we close it out. We make the right plays. We keep the control going. There were good wards down, and they just played Vulcun style, and they close it out.
Now, Freak, let's talk a little bit about what can happen for these brackets now.
Okay, so there's a lot going on. Basically, we know that Mineski are actually guaranteed last place. They can't pick up enough wins to beat anyone else. But you've got Fnatic at the top, and then one game behind them is Gambit. Now, if Fnatic just win one game, as Jat said, Fnatic are going to the quarterfinals. They're guaranteed a spot. Now, Gambit is only one game above Vulcun, only one game above Ozone. If either Vulcun or Ozone 2-0, there's a very likely chance. I don't remember the exact heads-up matches.
Does Vulcun play Ozone?
Vulcun play, yes.
Yes.
So they come both 2-0. Right.
Yeah. So either of those at 2-0, though, I believe would then take a win over and put themselves in a really good situation to make it to the playoffs. As Jat said, any of the teams that win out are in control of their destiny, can make themselves to the playoffs.
Go ahead, Monty.
It just seems increasingly likely that we're going to have some sort of tiebreaker for that second spot right now, but we'll have to see how the games play out.
Wouldn't be too far off with the European team. There has to be at least one tiebreaker at one point.
4 days coming into this, guys, what's on the team's minds? If anything you were to be going through your heads, if you're on top, if you're in the middle, what kind of stuff needs to be done? Or you just play it the way it comes?
If you're playing Fnatic, you'll be happy. I mean, the only mistake you've made was purely drop phase and then level 1. If you're Gambit, I don't think you'll be too upset either. Ozone is slowly improving, but the roller coaster. I don't think they have time enough to improve. Should they get past group stages, maybe as Monty said, like their strength comes from preparing for teams well in advance in an entire week. But then why didn't they do that now?
Well, honestly, I think that Ozone is far too inconsistent. Even if they do make it out of the groups, I don't see them surviving the quarterfinals unless they get a really good draw.
Double Lift, final thoughts?
Yeah, and it just depends on what kind of team you are. I feel like if you're Ozone or Vulcun, who is the kind of team to consume and adapt to whatever teams they play against, and in Vulcan's especially case, kind of imitate or pick up new stuff based on what they see. Whatever goes through your head just depends on what kind of team you are. If you're if you're Gambit or Fnatic, your primary thing should be, how can we keep ourselves consistent? Because they've been very, very consistent.
All right, well, guys, thank you very much. Now that you've heard our thoughts on the game, we're going to go ahead and send it over to Kobe, who's hanging out at the Telestrator for a colorful look at one of the key plays in today's Group B games in Day 5.
All right, thanks, Riv. My clip here today is going to be from the Fnatic and Ozone game that was just before this one. And this is the team fight that they were talking about in the jungle, where Fnatic really are able to get a nice foothold in this game. First of all, Fnatic went with this very assassin-heavy composition, so they want to start a fight in the jungle where they have walls to jump over so they can make use of these high-mobility assassins. And right now, Ozone are thinking, oh, look, we've got an Oracle's support deep in our jungle. This is perfect. This is kill him, kill him. This is bait, though. This is 100% bait here from Fnatic. Ozone are going to use everything they have trying to take out Yellowstar, but because their composition is so CC heavy and they haven't built up to damage yet, only this Trinity Force here on Ezreal, which arrives late to the fight, is their main source of damage. So let's roll through 50% speed, and we can see the Cocoon stacks with the Fear right here, so they use their two very high single target CCs on the support, and they stack them, giving Pushu enough time to come down, burst out Mata, and then we see, pause here, Pushu has rushed Mercury Treads after his Trinity Force. Genius idea, because he's going up against this team with so much CC. Mercury Tread's going to get him out of this Ice Tomb in time to flash away and then get back in. This is the flash out and then re-engage style that Krepo was talking about Peke plays by. We've already seen two other members of Fnatic use this as well. We'll continue the clip here. 50% speed. He flashes out, able to get down damage. And at this point, Ozone are running from their own jungle. And now Fnatic's high mobility assassins shine. In comes Soaz from the back. They've used everything that they had in the initial support, and they didn't even kill him for another 15 seconds. Easily cleaned up there by Fnatic. And from this point on, they really had a gigantic goal lead that they were able to push into the win. So with that, we are going to send it back over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Kobe. And with only 5 games remaining in Group B, let's check out where the teams stand. Fnatic is sitting in first with a 5-1 record up top, just ahead of Gambit in second, in a tie for 3rd place. Yeah, it's Ozone and Vulcun with 3 wins and 3 losses apiece, and then it's Mineski hanging out in last. So, gentlemen, we've got 4 days of Worlds in our rearview mirror. Let's reflect on how the 4 of you have been doing versus the viewers in picking the winners. The winners are still in the lead. Go figure. With an impressive 20 correct picks, but the casters aren't far behind. You guys with 19 now in 3rd place. It's Monty, who is 18-7. Doublelift is in 4th with 17-8. And Crepo is in 5th at 16-9. But you had somewhat of a streak today.
I'd like to point out that it's been a good day for Europe. European teams doing well. Crepo's on a streak. Doublelift, I'm coming for you.
I'm so sad right now, dude. I'm so sad.
Yeah, I don't think I'll catch up to the viewers, but I like giving the viewers the experience of being the better analyst.
Aw, you're so nice.
I know, right?
Whatever people say about you isn't true.